I feel like when I create music, though, I feel like it's not guided or directed by anyone, even myself.
What's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson.
Hey, it's Steve McRae.
Hey, I'm Josh from the band Need to Breathe.
I'm Olivia Lunny.
We are so excited to welcome to the Kelly Alexander Show, Akon. Hi.
What up, Kels?
Hey, I'm Judy Gold.
And I'm hanging out with the Kelly Alexander Show.
This is Jordan, and I'm hanging out on the Kelly Alexander Show.
I'm Rob, and I'm hanging out on the Kelly Alexander Show.
I'm hanging out with the Kelly Alexander Show right now.
Jealous?
We are always super excited to welcome this guy to the show. He's so talented. Amazing things is what he does right across the States, Canada. Like he's just all over the place. Virginia to Vegas. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Kelly, it's so good to be speaking with you. I'm great. Thanks for asking.
You know how much I love you profusely. I'm always happy when we get to catch up. And this one's especially special because it's, 10 years really since like you launched the Virginia to Vegas project. And so let's talk a little bit about that milestone. What did it feel like to kind of cross the milestone and know that this project, which I remember when we first spoke, I think you said to me in our initial interview, like, we'll see how this goes. And then like, it's still going.
Right. It's nice to know 24-year-old Derek had the same sense of humor. It's pretty wild. Honestly, it's very wild. Time flies, and I don't mean to be punny here, but it really does go by very quickly. And I didn't realize it had been 10 years. It felt like maybe one. But when I did see that We Are Stars was coming up on the 10-year anniversary, I think it was the second ever Future Star song.
Yeah, that
which is
sounds
like,
right.
which is like wild. Maybe third. It was like I wanted to do something that celebrated the project and celebrated the people that supported the project. And, I feel like earlier in my career, perhaps I didn't celebrate, the little things enough, and not saying 10 years is a little thing or a compilation album is a little thing, because to me it's the biggest thing in the world. But I'm really trying to like put timestamps on things and be proud of the moments and live in the now, because as you know, in entertainment, we're often living 2-3 months in the future, trying to plan, what's next.
Can you kind of like thought process out for me and the fact that like, how do you think you've actually made it this long? Is it because you're an independent artist? Because there's so many artists that I have encountered, interviewed them when they first splashed across the scene with one single, and then like 18 months later they're nowhere to be found again.
Geez, that's a long-winded, it'll be a long-winded answer, but I'll try to make it endless. um there's a couple things that I think of. Number one, I have great people around me in terms of team, and the team has evolved and changed and plussed and minused over the years. But I want to pat myself on the back for surrounding myself with people that had a attitude of, yeah, we can figure that out. Because I really like, I really like the idea of, trying to solve the impossible. And, being a kid, from a small town in Ontario, not on a major record label, to have a 10-year career is, pretty unheard of. I got so many no's. So many people said that it's not going to work. There's not the right lane. So many music producers at the beginning weren't interested in my music. Music video directors thought I didn't look appealing enough or something. And I had songs that didn't work as well. Lots of them. But I think mental fortitude for young artists that are aspiring, if you have a goal and it's something that's truly in your heart, to keep pushing forward and believe in yourself. I think even if it seems unrealistic, it's like what's the alternative? You know what I mean? The alternative is awful. So just like work really hard on yourself, and following a pipe dream doesn't mean it's not hard work. It's just like I had jobs. I remember I played in the Air Canada Center, and the next day I was working in a call center. So,
Good.
I just didn't want to quit.
Yeah, well, I think people don't realize, like, yeah, like when you get all these no's, you have to keep trying if it's really like if you know that there's nothing else for you, like this is it. So you got to do whatever it takes to keep going. So I think that's great advice for up and coming artists. And I was reading over some of your stats, and you've got 4 platinum singles, 7 top 10 radio singles. How does that achievement make you feel? And why do you think your songs resonate so much with, I'm going to say Canada, but now we know you're branching out into the world, and more countries and more people are falling in love with you. But you've been on the radio here for 10 years. Like, how do you think you've managed that?
Well, from great friendships with people like you who have said, we like your music, and great people in Canada that supported my music, that came to shows and took a chance on me when I was, not very good, and allowed me to kind of like grow into the artist I am now, which like I'm very proud of. Like, I work really hard every day at becoming a better guitar player and a better songwriter and a better writer and having a better understanding of the business. And, I think it's kind of like the last answer, in the sense that it's just keep pushing forward. My grandfather, I remember him telling me, because he was like 76 and still learning Spanish and could maybe say like 4 words, and was like, always keep your brain learning, always keep expanding, always, try to keep growing. And I think I've just, tried to do that, and I've had a lot of luck. And, I don't know, I'm really grateful that I get to do, this and make music. It's awesome because it's the thing that I love the most in the world.
When you were planning to, celebrate the 10 years of We Are Stars, did you know you were going to put out a greatest hits compilation? And did you know that you needed to have a song with that, which is Time, which we'll talk about in a bit? But like, how did that all come together?
Yeah, I mean, I knew very early on that I wanted to make a compilation record. And one of the label owners at Wax had suggested doing a vinyl, and I thought that was a great idea. And him and I just like really worked on it. And I did all the photography in this house, in this living room. I shot the music video in the living room. I recorded Time in my studio in the basement. And yeah, I just really worked hard to create a package that was of value for my fans. That was like, because a lot of the people that are still listening today have been around for the beginning. Like, there's not a lot of Virginia de Vegas fans, but the ones that are there are really great fans and strong and loyal and have been around. And like, I want to give them value because they've given my life so much meaning.
Joining us on the show is Derek Baker, aka Virginia de Vegas. Don't forget to grab all of his social media handles off his website, virginiadevegas.com. So we have to talk about Time. And you've said in some of the press that I read, and even before I read the press and was just listening to the song, I'm like, this is really something for Derek. Like, I just knew that from the lyrics. So can you talk to us why you chose to write the song, and why you took that extra step to really make it personal?
So I wrote Time during the pandemic. It wasn't written for this album, and I wasn't even sure I was ever going to put it out, because to me it didn't sound like a Virginia de Vegas song. But I wrote it kind of about, that feeling of the perspective of time and how quickly it moves. And when you look back at it, it's like, where did that go? And the last movie I saw with my dad before he passed away was a movie called Interstellar. And one of the main subjects, one of the main themes, that's the word I was thinking of. One of the main themes is is time and the theory of relativity. And I wanted to write something that kind of encapsulated that idea, because my dad was such a big influence on who I am as an artist, from why I like lyrics and why I like music and why this writer is cool or why this producer got along with this songwriter. And he was such an audiophile. We would sit and listen to music for hours, and he would explain his catalog of music and why he loved it, and it made me such a fan. And I get emotional. I think at the end of the 10-year phase, I wish he would have got to see how the career evolved, because he passed away, kind of shortly after We Are Stars, when I was in a lull, a 2-year lull where I couldn't get a show, I couldn't get a song running, I couldn't do anything. And in that time, he got sick and passed away. And after that time, I just dove so deep into music, and yeah, I just wanted to put a little stamp of, hey Dad, love you, man, on the greatest hits. And that's really what time is for me.
And now that you like have it out and it's running on the radio, like what do you think Dad would say?
He would say, "Fantastico." Great lyric, great melody.
That's amazing. Do you find that your dad, like, because I'm very fortunate. My dad is still with me. But I just know it's funny, like, even as I like roll out through my days, like, he's not a radio person. I mean, he listens to the radio. He doesn't usually necessarily listen to me when I'm on the radio. But it's funny, when I make certain decisions, he's kind of always on the shoulder. And so
Yeah.
do you find that even though your dad has been passed away for several years, like he plays a part in your decision making as an artist?
Yeah, I think so. I think like I got pretty spiritual like 2019 when I wrote Better Man, and I'm not trying to preach, but I started going back to church, and I enjoyed that process for me, and I'm not putting that on anyone else, but for me it was great. And I do believe that I do believe in an afterlife. I do believe that, my dad's watching out for me, and I think it's kind of, I feel like I still have chats with him sometimes, even if he's not there, something cool happens and I'm driving in the car by myself, I'll say, "Hey Dad," so I think so. I don't know. I feel like when I create music, though, I feel like it's not guided or directed by anyone, even myself. I feel like, I have a neon sign in my studio that says, "Let the universe in." And I feel like if you think too much about what you're doing, you're probably not going to create something good. And you have to just, be like almost like an antenna for ideas, and put them out and write them down, and then let them marinate and see if they make sense later on. And that's kind of how I've always approached songwriting.
It's so funny that you said that, because I recently saw something where they had audio clips from Michael Jackson talking. This was like back in the day in the 80s, where he was
Mm,
talking about how basically he was a conduit, like
mm.
just for songs, and that because he even said something, and I'm paraphrasing now because I don't remember exactly how he said it, but it was basically like, he's like, "Sometimes I feel guilty taking credit for the song because I don't think it's me. Like it's just."
The good ones, like the good songs, pour out of you, and they come very fast. We Are Stars, we wrote in 10 minutes. Time, I don't even remember writing it, how fast we wrote it. And that's not to say like editing and going back over songs isn't important, and spending time to make your craft good. But there is something magical sometimes about writing a song, and often those magical moments when you write a song are the ones that turn out to be good. So call that whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's like your subconscious or whatever. I'm not sure.
I have to ask you about the fact that, we've known you here in Canada for 10 years, if not a little bit longer than that. But now you are, and I'm sure it's been a while anyways, that you're expanding. Like more people across the planet are starting to know who you are. You're heading out on a tour in China, which is amazing. So tell us how the tour came about and what it's been like to know that fans in other countries are finding you.
The Chinese tour is like pretty like magical when I think about it because in like 2018, 2019, 2020, I started getting a lot of social media messages from people in China saying like, "Hey, we love your music. You have fans in China. Come play a show." And, I never really thought about it as a reality. But, as time went on, the streaming started to become pretty real. And we started getting like offers, show offers, come over, play a show, come over, play a show. And so, we finally made the decision that we're going to do it. And we're doing an entire country of China tour. We're doing 5 shows across the country in like 8 days, and we're playing like 1,000 cap rooms, and we're just gonna like go and figure out what it's like. But we don't really know. But the process has been like very interesting because we have there's so much involved that like the team has to manage in order for us to go over, and language barrier, and if we're trying to get input lists created, it's like we'll send an email at like 8 a.m. but they won't get it till midnight or whatever, you know what I mean, the time difference. So I feel like I'm kind of running on 2 clocks for the last couple of months, just trying to like make sure I get everything from a tech perspective organized so we can go over there and deliver, an amazing show and, meet fans that live, across the world. It's just mind blowing.
When you come back, how will you think that, I'm sure you can't fully answer this question, but how do you think your experience in China will affect what you're going to do here in Canada? Because you are going to tour here, right? I hope.
Yeah, we're going on tour in September. I don't think we're allowed to announce that yet, but Montreal, I'll be there in September. It already has affected the show like greatly. Like I've taken such a deep dive on the live show because I've had to figure out how to travel on a small footprint. So I've made some like really cool like tech improvements, which sounds like boring and nerdy and whatever, but like for me, I think like the show in September will be, leagues above what any of my fans in Montreal have seen, just because of the amount of work that we've put into trying to consolidate a show for like an international tour.
And when you do tour Canada, like I'm assuming you're hitting all the major markets, you're coming to Montreal. What does Montreal mean to you? Because
Everything.
Okay, good. Okay.
Montreal, everyone always says Montreal's a tough market, but I never got that from Montreal. Montreal has always been good to me. Like from day one, for whatever reason, Montreal has treated me with so much kindness. The fans are amazing. They're loud. They know the songs. They care about music, and I just love Montreal. I love the culture. I mean, I know it's touristy, but I love Old Port. I love Boda Boda.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I love Montreal. My godparents, my aunt and uncle live in Montreal. My mom was born in Montreal. So it's a very special city to me. I love Quebec and I love Montreal.
What are you trying to manifest for yourself? I'll say in the next year, because I know you've probably got the next 6 months planned, but what is up next for Derek Baker after that?
There's a lot of new music on the way. I'm working on like a 6-song EP right now that's got a bit of a different flavor, but I think is going to be really exciting. I reached out to, there's a drummer I've been a fan of for a bajillion years, a guy named Aaron Sterling. He plays with he's played with Taylor Swift, John Mayer. He's John Mayer's main drummer. He just played on the new Post Malone album. I reached out to him on Instagram, of all things, and we've already recorded the songs. He's played on the entire new album, and it sounds so good. So there's new music. There's a tour coming. And hopefully when I get back from China, this China tour has taken up so much of my mental bandwidth. Hopefully I'll have like just a quick minute to like feel like a human again and then get back on the road.
Before I let you go, just a couple of questions for you. I call them fast facts with Virginia to Vegas. So we'll start off by saying, like, who in Canada, like as a Canadian pop artist, would you actually like to collaborate with? I know you've collaborated with some in the past, but like, is anybody on your bucket list still?
I just worked with Elijah Woods, and him and I wrote a song together, and he's such a great guy, and he's doing so well. So, I mean, I'd love to do a track with him. A good friend of mine, Alex Porat, and I might be working on a song, and I think she's such a fantastic Canadian artist. She's so good. The Beaches are like so awesome, and I'd love to produce a pop song for the Beaches, still encapsulating all of their bad but if this is on the radio, nature. Like I just think they're so sick. Valley is like one of my favorite Canadian bands. Love Valley. The Arkells. There's an artist named Child who's from Montreal, actually.
That's right.
And he, I think, is probably the coolest artist in the music industry right now. So there's so much great Canadian talent, and I'm very grateful to call a bunch of them my buds.
Is there a concert right now that you would like to go to, like a touring artist that you would actually love to go and see or haven't seen yet or want to see again?
I'd love to see Phoenix again. They like kind of blew my mind the first time I saw them. The Teskey Brothers, I've been listening to them a bunch, and I'd love to see Olivia Dean. Have you heard her song Dive?
I have not. I've heard the name, but I have not listened to. So now I have something to research.
Go listen to Dive by Olivia Dean. So beautiful. It's just such a lovely song, and it kind of reminds me of like early 2000s Norah Jones, like very tasteful recording, beautiful voice. She's like amazing. So I'd love to go see an Olivia Dean show.
What is always in your fridge?
Bubbly. Michael Bublé.
I hope he hears this. I'm sure he will. What childhood TV show or like, show from your teen years would you love to see as a reboot?
The Wonder Years.
Oh, that's good. That's solid.
Or Boy Meets World.
And if you, I don't know if you cook, Derek, but if you do, what's your go-to dish? Somebody always has, like, everyone always has something they can manage. What are you a cook?
I do. Well, I do like to cook. I don't know if I am a cook, but I make a pretty darn good parpadelli deliosa, a mushroom sausage. What is it called? Pure de moi. It's like celery, carrot,
The mashup
stock.
and all that? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's amazing.
so good. Fresh oregano on the top, fresh arugula on the top, olive oil, crunch some salt. Oh,
You're ready to go.
let's go.
What message do you have for your Montreal fans?
I love you guys, and I'll see you in September. And let's sell the September show out. So, call all your friends. Let's have a really good party, and let's sell that September show out. And I can't wait to see you guys.
Amazing. Derek, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
That is Virginia to Vegas, Derek Baker. Don't forget to grab all of his social media handles by hitting up his website, virginiatovegas.com. Hey, it's Kelly Alexander, and thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, so you are the first in line for all the cool content coming your way.